it's supposed to feel.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Starbucs. I'm Jim. DiNardo's not with me today, so we've got Tyler filling in for him. Tyler, good morning. Morning after a big Steelers Sunday night win, so I think both of us are maybe a little tired. Stayed up late last night.
Dragging a little bit this morning, but, unlike DiNardo, I still show up.
That's true. You're here.
When needed, I fill in.
Yeah, that's all that matters, honestly. So not only are we coming off a big Steelers win, but the Pirates coming off a pretty good week of baseball. They take 2 out of 3 in Chicago. They take 2 out of 3 in Cincinnati. Both teams desperately needed some wins against the Pirates as they're both in a playoff hunt. And the Pirates did a good job kind of spoiling that. The Cubs are still in a pretty good spot, but the Reds now, they're on life support.
Yeah.
That's fun. The fact that we put them on life support is always,
And
that's
funny enough, they probably need the Pirates' help some more now in order to get off that life support.
Yeah, so the Pirates we'll talk about the Phillies series here later in the episode, but Phillies who pretty much they're sitting pretty right now.
Yeah.
And then the Marlins who are also in a fight for that last wild card spot. The Pirates finish up with them. So yeah, it'll be a fun last week here. Pirates are playing some teams that have some things to play for. So Pirates have an opportunity to spoil some ends of seasons. So
yeah, really, it's been like a month of pretty good baseball by the Pirates. A lot of people probably have turned them off by now, but really they have missed about a month of some actual good baseball by this team.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you've been paying attention still, like ever since the trade deadline, really, they've been playing great ball. I mean, they're like 3 games over 500 since the trade deadline, which is good enough to you do that over an entire season. You're 9 games over 500, and you're a playoff team.
Yeah, it's encouraging what they've done of late, and there's some stuff that I think we still want to see this year.
Yep. So let's kind of get right into it here. A couple things we wanted to discuss. Let's actually start with someone who you and Doug talked about him, quite a bit yesterday on the post game show. He's been a topic on a lot of recent post game shows because he keeps doing things very well in games, and that's Jared Triolo. Again, another nice game yesterday. He was 2 for 4 with a double. This Cincinnati series, he went on a tear. Started 2 games at second base, started 1 game at third, played first base a little bit. You can move him around the diamond. He looks good everywhere you put him. And again, like 8 hits during the Cincinnati series. He's got his overall numbers now up to, first off, he's got a 116 weighted runs created plus.
Yeah.
Like the dude's turned himself into a good hitter. He's got 3 homers now, which, before his first stint here looked like there was just non-existent power. Got a few stolen bases. Strikeout rate is down. Walk rate's up. He's hitting 297 right now.
Yeah.
But because of the defense that he plays, 48 games, and you said this, Tyler, yesterday on the post game, but 48 games, he's got a 1.5 WAR. He's playing. If you take 150 game pace, the dude's a 4.5 win player right now. We're talking about Jared Triolo. Did anyone expect Jared Triolo to be the best rookie on this team?
No, not at all. And Look, we're not crazy here. Like, he's got a BABIP that's over 400. The hit numbers just what he's doing at the plate's probably not sustainable. But we're seeing a different Jared Triolo right now than we saw from the first stint. The first stint up, you mentioned, in very limited power, if any. It didn't really look like he could hit a ball off the wall. Now he's driving the ball to all fields. He's still doing the little things well that he was doing when he first came up, I think. He puts the ball in play when he needs to. The situational hitting's usually pretty good with him, I think. You talked about the strikeout numbers dropping. At the very least, he's looking like a league average type of hitter at this point, and if you can get some of this power to carry over into next year that he's shown lately, he's a lot more exciting.
Absolutely. So since his recent call up, so he got sent down after his first stint, called back up on September 9th. 45 plate appearances during that time frame. He's got 2 homers. He's hitting .378. He's got a weighted runs created plus of 205. He's slugging .649. You mentioned the BABIP and how unsustainable it is. I think that's something you do have to kind of look at. Like, he's getting a little lucky right now, but at the same time, he's putting the ball in play and good things are happening. He's got a 500 BABIP since being recalled on September 9th. 500 BABIP, which is pretty incredible. But I think what you've seen from him is the power. The power is what's kind of interesting right now, because before I think I wrote him off because I don't think we need necessarily another singles hitter. And like, if he's a singles hitter and he can get on base, then he can be a viable backup, I think, as long as he's playing good defense, which we all knew Triolo could play really good defense. That was his calling card coming up through the minors. But if he's able to add some power to his swing and play really good defense, I think that then poses the question, we're going into this offseason and we're saying, what are the Pirates going to do at first base? Some people aren't asking this question, but I think it's a question that needs to be asked. What are the Pirates going to do at second base? Like, Liover Peguero has looked okay at times, but Liover Peguero hasn't been impressive by any means. Every other person they've tried at second base hasn't looked good. Tucupita Marcano, G1 Bay, Nick Gonzalez, go down the list. Every single player they've tried at second base hasn't looked good. Jared Triolo is the only guy who plays that position who has looked good in his time in the majors. So I think you got to throw Jared Triolo's name in the hat for that second base job next year. I don't think he would be utilized correctly at first base. And I think you mentioned this too yesterday. Like, the defense is too good. Like, sure, you can plug him at first base if you need him there, but he's more valuable somewhere else. And I don't think his bat is necessarily a first base bat. Like, you need more power than that. But I'm inclined right now, like, I don't think the Pirates are going to be acquiring a second baseman this offseason, because I think they have too many guys on their current roster that just, like, one of them has to step up and take the opportunity. Like plain and simple, one of them has to take the job. And so far, Jared Triolo's been the only one to perform like he's capable of starting Major League Baseball games every day.
Yeah, and we might get a little ahead of ourselves because really it's been since the call-up that he's looked this good. All the other guys that have been mentioned, they had stretches like this as well. But the other difference here, I think, is that Triolo plays second base very, very, very well. And it's a position he doesn't really play. And he's already probably the best defender of all of them. Maybe not athletically, but just everything he can do, and fundamentally, everything's smooth with him. I think the value with Jared Triolo does come from bouncing a little bit more around the infield, though. But when you have a Cabrian Hayes, it's hard to do that, because Cabrian Hayes is going to be at third base 130 games if he's healthy, 140,
Right.
whatever. So Triolo, you got to find a way to probably keep him in the lineup 4 to 5 times a week if he's going to hit like this. And there's going to be opportunities to do so. We talked about the BABIP numbers there. even if you look at his expected WOBA, it's still like 324. That's still a league average hitter right there. And if you can get that with the defense that he plays, you are talking about a 3 to 4 win player. And that's not a guy that you can afford to keep on your bench.
Nope. He's playing right now like you have to play him every day. And even he's playing better than that right now. But I think if you even said, oh, he's going to go back down to earth a little bit, he's still playing like he's an everyday player.
Yeah.
And I know it's not necessarily like what Pirates fans expected, because I think Pirates fans have kind of been dreaming of this, this infield with Figueroa or Gonzalez, playing second base. And right now, Nick Gonzalez is crushing the ball at AAA, and I would like to see him get just like a couple more major league at bats before the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's going to happen, but Liover Peguero has shown that he's okay defensively out there. Like, he can handle the position pretty well. The power's nice from Peguero, but really everything else hasn't been consistent from him. And again, he's a rookie. He's also really young. Peguero's the youngest out of all of them. So you kind of got to kind of weigh that. Like, maybe Peguero's the guy in the future. Maybe Tamar Johnson's the guy in the future. I don't know. But like right now, I'm inclined to say Triolo's the guy right now.
Yeah, and it might be recency bias, but as of right now, if you ask me who's the front runner for second base going into 2024, it's probably Jared Triolo. And like I said, it could be recency bias because he has performed the most recent of all of them and hasn't gone through that slump yet, and he might not because there's only 6 games left.
Right.
But if you ask me right now, it's Jared Triolo.
I'm in the same boat as you. Like, if I had to say who's going to be the opening day starter at second base next year, like right now, Jared Triolo makes the most sense to me. But I think going into spring training, that's probably going to be one of the bigger battles that we'll see, is that second base spot, because they're going to have a lot of people competing for it, and they're going to have, I think you can say Triolo and Peguero have like the biggest leg up on the position, but there's going to be Nick Gonzalez, G1 Bay. Those guys may still be competing for that spot too.
Yeah, and I think the other part of it that they're going to have to find out is one of these guys that does have that second base job, you probably want to be able to play shortstop because they still need a backup shortstop. And Triolo kind of fits that mold. We haven't seen it at the major league level yet, but really it's Peguero and Triolo of the guys that can play that backup role to O'Neal Cruz next year.
That's correct. I agree with you there. So interesting to see how he does this last week. And then say going into spring training, because I don't think second base is going to be a position that they address in the offseason. They're going to roll with their internal candidates, and he's certainly one of them at this point.
One of them has to perform here. Come on.
One of them has to.
Just one of you.
And it's crazy because they've tried so many guys. They've given so many people extended looks too, and just nobody's taken advantage of the opportunity.
Nope. So one of them's got to.
Yep. So, like I said, really excited about Jared Triolo there. Let's move on to our next topic that we wanted to talk about today. And that's really just, we've got 6 games left, 1 week of the regular season. This is our last Starbucs episode during the season. The next time you see us on a Monday morning, season will be over. But I want to talk about just, there's 6 games. They really don't mean a whole lot in the grand scheme of things, right? Pirates were eliminated from the playoffs over the weekend. They're 74 and 82. But there's still a lot of things that the individual players are playing for right now. And I want to talk about, just give me one person, one thing, something this last week of the year that you really are looking to see heading into the offseason.
Yeah, so the easy way out would be to talk about Triolo, and you want to see him continue to hit, or Brian Hayes, you want to see him continue to hit. At this point, I don't know that 6 more games of, a hot streak is really going to do anything to move the needle for me. Either way, hitting wise, the guy that I think most Pirates fans will probably agree with both of us here, but my guy right now is Endy Rodriguez, and it's not the bat per se for him. Obviously, you want to see the bat perform at a higher level than it has. But really behind the plate, I don't want to say that, he has mental lapses or anything like that, but there are points in games where maybe he gets a little bit too comfortable behind the plate. We see him, drop let a pass ball go by that really, really shouldn't be a pass ball. Maybe he's not as clean blocking as he should be. It just looks like sometimes he gets a little bit too comfortable, maybe tries to do a little bit too much, or I'm not completely sure what it is all the time. I don't think
Yeah.
he's lazy by any means.
Right.
Um, just sometimes he's not as clean behind the plate as you would like. That's really what you want to see him grow into, is a really good defensive catcher, because I think he has all the ability to do it. You can see how twitchy he is back there, how smooth he can be back there. I think he's called some pretty good games to this point. I just the intangibles of when to have your mound visits, everything like that, I think has been good.
Mm-hmm.
It's just there's too many moments right now where he's letting a pass ball by in a big spot that you really can't have, and it's not exactly excusable when it's happening.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything that you said there. The intangibles part in particular, I can think of multiple occasions where a pitcher was kind of a little bit erratic all over the place. Endy goes out there, talks to him for 30 seconds, and then all of a sudden, kind of gets him back on track. It makes a big pitch. Athletically, he's very capable of playing the catcher position. You would think that athleticism would play into, first off the controlling the running game, which he's shown that he's been very good at, but also getting balls in the dirt, which that has, like, if there's been a weakness to his game, it's that. I feel like it's mostly balls to his right in the dirt. Like and I don't want to use the word lazy. I agree with you. Like, I don't think it's a laziness thing. I think it's more of just maybe he's not mentally prepared for that particular thing to
Yeah.
happen at that point in the game. So just like being in the moment.
Right.
Because like he's shown he can make those blocks, but it's just been inconsistent, right? And that is something that I think he needs to be better at. And so no, that's a good thing to bring up. I do want to bring up his hitting though too. Like, you would like to see him,
Yeah.
hit a little bit more. That was his calling card. We talked about through the minors, like Triolo's was his defense. Endy, everybody thought that he could stick a catcher, but what was going to carry him was this bat, right? 2-time minor league MVP. I think what we're seeing right now, and it's the end of the season. I don't know if this is maybe the wear and tear of like the longest stretch of catching that he's ever had,
Mm.
or what. But you look at the numbers, and he's walking, he's not striking out a ton. The BABIP is low. The power's not really there. Um, you want to see him. He doesn't need to be the hitter that he was in the minors. He doesn't have to hit 350, right? He doesn't have to hit 300 even. Like, but if I feel like if he could hit 260 to 270 with a little bit of pop, like a more pop than what he's showing, then with the defensive ability that he gives you, he could be a really good player. He's already Fangraphs loves him defensively. He's basically currently playing at a 2-win pace, and he's not hitting at all.
At all.
So you got to think, if he just hits a little bit, he could be a pretty valuable player in this league. So I agree with you. You would love to see him kind of end the season with a really good stretch, both defensively, but then also really at the plate too.
Yeah, and I mean, you want to see him finish the year strong at the plate, but at the end of the day, does 6 good games, does that really move the needle going into next year? I think maybe it gives us a little bit of false hope.
Right.
But either way, going into next year, you do need to see the bat start to play a little more with him, and it's in there.
It is, because he's shown flashes of it, especially on like inside pitches, pulling his hands in and pulling them over the fence. Like, it's there. The hitting ability is there. So you pick the one catcher. I'm gonna pick the other guy who he's sort of a catcher, but not really, and that's Henry Davis. I think he had a great series against the Reds. Like, you finally saw him kind of turning it on. He's on a 4-game hitting streak. Homered on Friday, 2 doubles yesterday on Sunday. No matter how you slice it up, the Pirates need Henry Davis to be good. And like, they don't need him to just be average. Like, they need Henry Davis to be a good hitter, right?
Yeah.
And again, just like Endy, like, he's shown flashes of that. He came up, he looked really good for the first few weeks. He went into this big slump. He hit those 2 homers off Shohei Ohtani, and then it's like, after that happened, it's like everything went away. I don't know what it was. Spent about a month on the IL with a hand injury. Came back from the IL, looked bad the first couple games, but really, like I said, recently, 4-game hitting streak. He, like I said, hit that homer, which he hadn't homered since August 4th was his last homer. They're just gonna, like, he's going to need to be a guy, and like, I'm not like exaggerating here. Like, he's gonna have to be a 30 homer guy. Like, he's gonna have to he should hit 30 homers and be a run producer in this lineup. You can't be the Pirates aren't going to be good if Henry Davis is their number 8 hitter. Like, Henry Davis needs to be their number 4 hitter.
I'm absolutely with you. Yeah, I'm completely with you. I mean, we talked about Triolo possibly being or what he's on pace for, being a 4.5 win player. Andy Rodriguez can do what he's doing behind the plate and just be a little better defensively and probably be a 2-win player. Henry Davis has to be that impact bat. Those other 2 guys, you can get away with them maybe not reaching their potential at the plate. Henry Davis has to reach his potential at the plate. This team needs his bat to be good.
Yeah. They need the power from the right side of the plate. They invested a lot in him. He's the first overall pick. They picked him because of the advanced bat. He did get here very quick, right? So I guess that's the one thing that you're very encouraged about. Like, there's obviously something there, or he wouldn't have just completely torn up the minors. Like, I mean, he tore up the minors. In his very little time in the minor leagues, he dominated it. So it gives you the encouragement that, like, there's something there. It's just a matter of, like, when's it going to be unlocked? And you hope that it's more like the Spencer Torkelson route, where, his first season in the majors struggles a little bit, obviously doesn't look that great. And then, in season 2, his first full year, it just clicks, right? And now you look at Torkelson and, similar path as Davis, first overall pick, college bat, best college bat available, and now he's a very good hitter in the major leagues. After a couple his second season. So I think that's kind of who you look at, and if you're a Pirates fan and say Henry Davis needs to go do that, because right now, like I said, what he's doing, like, they just flat out need more. I'm not too concerned defensively. Like, I think you give him an entire offseason. If you tell him, hey, Henry Davis, go get good at right field, like, he's going to do it. Like, that he works too hard at what he does to not be good at what he's trying to do. So I think I'm not too worried about the defensive aspect of him, if that's where they want to go with him, which I would still like to see him catch a little bit, but we haven't seen him catch a single. We've seen him, 2 innings so far. But yeah, as far as the bat goes, you want to see him turn into a 30 homer guy.
Yeah, and I think I can be encouraged by going into next year if he's told you're going to play right field and he can just focus on playing right field. I do think there's something to be said about learning a new position on the fly at the big league level and still trying to figure it out at the plate. He's literally learning on the job right now. So you give him a full off season of you're just going to do this. Let him focus on the things that he really needs to work on. He's going to be a good baseball player. It's just how good is he going to be?
Yeah, I agree. And like I said, I'm still very confident in his abilities to figure it out. It's just a matter of now. When's it going to happen?
Yeah.
Right. So this last week of the year, 6 games left. He's already kind of looking better the last few games. Let's keep that up. let's finish the season strong, go into the offseason on a high note, and feel good going into next year.
Please.
All right. So let's move on to our next series. So Pirates are off today. If you're listening to this on Monday, if you're watching it live on Monday, Pirates are off today, but they do go to Philadelphia. Actually, wait. Yeah, they go to Philadelphia tomorrow. They face Aaron Nola, Ranger Suarez, and Zach Wheeler. So pretty good, batch of pitchers there. The Phillies have not clinched a playoff spot, but they're pretty darn close. They are on the year. They're 87 and 69. Actually, they may have clinched. Did they clinch?
They've had to have clinched something. At the very least, they're very close.
I don't know if so they haven't clinched yet. But they are very, very close. Like I would imagine they just need one. They're 5 games up on the wild card with 6 games left. So if they win one more game, they're in.
Yeah.
So Phillies have a ton to play for. Phillies are trying to get that first wild card spot, I would imagine. So the Pirates are going into Philly with a chance to try to wreck that. I don't know how successful they'll be because the Phillies have a pretty good grasp on that spot right now. But they're playing good ball. Trey Turner, I think, is just one of the craziest stories of the year. Like, first off, he's Trey Turner, ridiculously good baseball player. And he just started off the season so bad. I don't know what happened. Like, he was just not Trey Turner for basically 4 months of the season. All of a sudden, he completely turns it around. And he has been excellent the last 45 calendar days or so. So you got Trey Turner to deal with now. Bryce Harper. Nick Castellanos has been playing really well lately. JT Realmuto has been playing really well lately. This is a really good team.
Yeah, it is.
I think if they were in, any other division without the Atlanta Braves, they'd be competing for a division title. Pitching staff's good, and the Pirates are going to run into 3 pretty decent ones here in this series. Zach Wheeler, could win it. Zach Wheeler could win Cy Youngs, at some point if he has. I don't think he's done it yet. He finished second last year. But yeah, it's just a good team. Rodolfo Castro also on the Phillies still hasn't been demoted. But I guess I don't know how much Phillies baseball you've watched. They're a very good team. The Pirates have been playing some teams competing for the playoffs in the last few weeks. This is the best one they're going to face.
Yeah,
other than the Braves, we'd take the Braves out.
The Phillies are really good. I don't watch much of them, but you look up and down that lineup. You look throughout the rotation. They're tough. It's a tough test to end on. Well, second to end on, but you're getting 3 really good arms. Aaron Nola hasn't been as good as he usually is this year, but he's still Aaron Nola. Suarez and Wheeler are having good years. They're going to get tested. You want to see the bats continue to grow like they have. And if they don't, you kind of have about an excuse here because the Phillies are really good.
Yeah. Yeah, if they go in here and I think if you get swept here, that maybe puts a little damper on your end of the season, how it's going. But there's nothing wrong with winning 1 out of 3 in this series. It's just like the Braves series, where they went in there and they took 1 out of 3. There's absolutely no shame in 1 out of 3 on the road against these guys.
No, not at all. And especially when I don't even know if we know who the Pirates are going to throw yet. Everything's TBD.
So Keller, Oviedo, Ortiz is what it lines up as.
And we've talked about it before. Probably don't need to see Keller or Ortiz at this point, or Keller or Oviedo at this point, but I don't know, man. They're probably going to get thrown out there. You want to see Mitch Keller, if he does go, end the season on a good note. There's been a lot of ups and downs this year, so you just really want to see him finish the season strong.
Yeah, With both of those guys, like you want to see the pitchers finish strong. I agree. Oviedo in particular, because he's looked a little shaky down the stretch here. But yeah, it should be a fun series. I said the Phillies can hit. They can hit some homers. They're Kyle Schwarber's their leadoff hitter. He's hitting like 120.
197 with 45 bombs.
197 with 45 bombs. Just a wacky. He's like the present. He's like the modern day Adam Dunn.
That would be so infuriating. Like, think of what we say about Jack Sawinski.
I know, but you know what? If Jack Swinsky had 45 homers, we'd be a little different than, because he's got 26 right now.
Yeah, 45 and 26 are quite different.
Yeah, it's a little bit different.
But I mean, the Phillies are susceptible to the strikeout. It's pretty apparent. So maybe you get a few high strikeout games for those gamblers out there.
Yeah, that's possible. You got Keller on the mound too. Nola, both of those strikeout guys. Wheeler's a strikeout guy. We could see a lot of strikeouts this series, just all around.
Oh yeah,
which always makes for
very
boring,
entertaining baseball.
Very entertaining baseball. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, prediction. What do you think happens this series?
I think they steal one, and I think it's the Aaron Nola game. And I think they drop the last two.
You know what? I'm going to say, and here's the thing. I've been correct on these predictions like the last 4 weeks. I've been on the ball. So this is my reputation on the line here, Tyler. Pirates win 2 out of 3.
There's a way, if you squint hard enough, you can see it.
They could definitely do it. They could definitely do it. I think they beat Nola and they beat Suarez. They win the first 2 games of this series.
Yeah, maybe these guys are kind of deloading a little bit, getting ready for the postseason. You never know.
Hey, and the Bucks are hot.
They are. They're playing good baseball. Like they can beat anybody.
They could. You saw it in the Atlanta series. Like they actually they played 3 very good games against the Braves. Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, that's all we got for today. Appreciate everybody jumping in, some comments. Like I said, off day today, so probably a lot of people listening to this on the podcast later in the day. But appreciate all of you. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We will be back tomorrow with the post-game show of Pirates Phillies. But until then, we'll see you all later. Have a good day.
Peace out, Girl Scouts.
Hey, you all. Thank you for watching. I know we try to provide the most entertaining content that we can, and we'd love to spread it to as many people as possible. So I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you could take the 5 seconds to like this video and subscribe to the page, it helps out so much more than you know. Thank you, and let's go Bucks.